The A show is live once again. It is SmackDown, 2 hours of Money in the Bank qualifiers, and a lot to happen with Jimmy Uso. Plus, once again, a brand new championship. I'm starting to feel like I'm saying the words brand new championship quite a lot recently, because I am. Because there are quite a lot of brand new championships. This one is the first of two brand new women's championships, will be debuted with Asuka as champion. She does still have a match to come with Bianca Belair, but there are also now rumours of Charlotte Flair turning up. So there's just a lot happening in this one. Feels sort of like the A show, doesn't it? Feels sort of like the A show. Welcome everyone. We already have 10 people here and 5 likes. Thank you for those. Joe is here. Kenzie is here. I also see Jaden, Leon, Mark, Justin. Says Foxstream is on the fritz for at least an hour, counting on you, Tom. Thank you very kindly, Justin. Hopefully I won't let you down. Leon says, hi, Tom. Hope you're doing well. Jaden says, what are your predictions on the new women's title design? I don't have predictions on the new women's title design. I also haven't seen it. I'm just excited and hoping that they don't screw it up. Because, let's be fair, we've seen plenty of that in the past. Plenty of it. Megan is here as well, saying hello, Bismo. Says good evening, folks, and a good early morning to you, Tom. Thank you kindly, Bismo, for being here so early in the morning. Bailey says, hello, Tom. Is Charlotte basically a limited date contractor at this point? No, she is a full-time wrestler. She's just been taking quite a bit of time off recently, which, to be fair, she's requested and she's kind of entitled to. She's worked a lot, like a lot, over the years. Chase, welcome. How you doing, mate? And Sean says hello, Tom, as well. We are starting as usual with a bloodline recap. Particular part of the story here is Solo Sikoa, Roman's enforcer, picking the side of Roman Reigns. Some of us saw it coming. Most of us were hoping it wouldn't. Megan says, I hope Santos and Mustafa get a decent amount of time tonight. That for me should be a draw match. Genuinely, if you're opening with that, you'll keep people. So I'd definitely be doing that. Sean said, does Trinity win the belt from Deonna? Maybe. I don't know. Don't really watch Impact. Couldn't really say. It'd be a pure guess on my part. Too much wrestling, guys. Too much wrestling. Way too much wrestling. Yes, Kenzie. And I hope you have a good time there. I still very much remember the fan reaction when Jimmy stepped up to Roman. It was fun, and I'd like it repeated. I was going to do my usual opener and be like, hey, we've got so many people in and so many likes, but we have 10 people and 8 likes. I mean, you kind of got me, guys. You kind of given me everything I'm looking for. Most telling, I think, when Roman did hug Jimmy, Jimmy was receptive. And then, of course, Roman said no, which I wasn't ready for. I wasn't ready for just how good that moment was. It could have all been good. They could have all been together. But no. Quite literally, no. Jey Uso is the question. Jey Uso is the first member of the bloodline, as it were. The iteration where it's Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, and Jey Uso is still very, very fondly remembered. Not least by myself, because them's were good times. Them's were good times. Doing good, thanks, Mark. Enjoying life. Went to a zoo last week. It's pretty cool. Morning, Si. 1 a.m. You're right to say morning. We are not starting with Santos versus Ali. We're starting with Paul Heyman and Solo Sikoa. Now, I'm not expecting much Roman Reigns. Solo Sikoa and Paul Heyman are going to have to carry that baton. Hopefully you did, Joe. Hopefully you enjoy it. The Usos immediately interrupting Paul Heyman before he can say anything. I wouldn't expect to hear much from Solo Sikoa today. It is Jey Uso. I don't see Jimmy. This won't just be a case of simple revenge. It's Solo Sikoa. That is their brother. Jay and Jimmy might be one unit. Solo Sikoa has chosen not to be. Yeah, Sean. Sure, go ahead. I can't promise I'll get to it. I'm a very busy man. But I'll try my best. Kenzie, quite a few of our viewership are from all the way over in the United States. We actually have quite a diverse range of people. The TikTok in particular has a lot of people watching from Australia, which confuses me. Because, you know, long way away. Jey Uso has a microphone. WWE likely recognising that the Bloodline segment gained them 2.9 million viewership last week. So if they're able to keep that momentum going, then they should have a very, very strong show indeed. I'm seeing a Raw Women's Championship in the crowd. That will need to be retired by the end of the night. Also, apparently, it's someone's birthday. So I see Jey siding against Jimmy for now, then turns when Jimmy gets the inevitable beatdown in a few weeks. Not unusual for the Bloodline to drag it out. Bailey says much is made about the salaries. What is the income potential for performers on Impact? Low. Jey seems like he's immediately picked a side and it's not Solo Sikoa's. Well, Solo won't say anything. That'll come down to Paul Heyman. And indeed, Solo is at the moment just standing there. I'll be interested to see if he does reach for the microphone. Nope. Logically, the Bloodline will make an appeal to Jey to bring him back into the fold here. And Paul Heyman's immediately started gaslighting. And the crowd are trying to boo right over him. Yep, we're blaming Jimmy. Let's see how that goes, shall we? Paul Heyman's a good talker. He might be convincing. Kieran says no more branded championships are going to be nice. Quite possibly, yes. I do get the feeling that the championships are going to be very separate from here on out. Thank you, Kenzie. Brad says Paul is great at gaslighting. It's very much a Bloodline trait. Roman, as we know, is gaslighter in chief. And it's genuinely a fantastic part of this story. The gaslighting, the clear abusive relationship, it's a very good part of the story. Jey Uso's just been beaten down. Sai says, Heyman looks more like Alfred Hitchcock every week. Two geniuses in one. You might suggest two birds, one stone. John says, tomorrow Wes Lee becomes the longest reigning North American champion. Amazing knowing everyone thought he wouldn't be a singles guy when his partner was released. Is that what people thought? Because if people thought that, they were wrong. Interesting tactic from Paul Heyman. Oh, the right-hand man was a gimmick for a while. This is going to be appealing to Jey. That's what he wants. That's why he joined Roman in the first place. To lead and thus protect his family. Also, full fact, it was never going to be Jimmy. Jimmy Uso was never particularly taken seriously in this storyline, and we all know it. We all know it. The fact that he was immediately friendly with Sami Zayn says it all. No, Joe, I did not hear that. Kervin, welcome, mate. Bailey says, with the talk about elevating NXT in the third brand, how would you change things there? I wouldn't. I'd get them a decent TV deal and then call it a third brand. If NXT is not a developmental brand, then you do not have a developmental brand and your development is failing. NXT provides a vital service to the WWE main roster. If it's not a developmental brand, then it is failing. And then, before you know it, we'll get NXT 2.0 all over again. Kieran says, how does the creative team decide which Uso to pick, considering their style is pretty much the same? Their style is not the same. Main event Uso was Jey Uso, and Jimmy cannot compete at that level. He can't. It's been proven, both on the mic in the background acting, and in fact in the ring. That brief period where Jimmy was injured and Jay wasn't, Jey Uso went forwards. Leaps and bounds. Leaps and bounds. He stepped forwards. Heyman is essentially offering Jey Uso gold right now. It may be that we do get Jimmy Uso versus Roman after all, because Jay might be convinced by this. The word grooming is always a dodgy word. There's never a good use of it. That says, who will Jay face? It depends when. I still think it's very possible Jey Uso does become the tribal chief by dethroning Roman. Kevin says, what was the reason main roster stars showed up in NXT? To help develop the brand and because they needed a couple of people to convince people to watch. They essentially need to up the ratings a little bit so that if they do get a TV deal, it'll be worth more. Joe thinks Jimmy will be next to face Roman, which is what I've said myself. Cody says, what's up, Tom? The Bloodline story is captivating television, and I wholeheartedly agree. Just say no, Jay. You've been offered a match against Austin Theory. Now, you could get that yourself, but he's taking it. Peter, I'm doing well, thanks, mate. How are you? Kieran says, does Cody just never finish the story now then? I have mentioned that is increasingly unlikely. Cody Rhodes is not currently planned to finish the story. So says, I'm interested that they started the show with this, expected it to be the main event segment. Me too. I do think they're trying to capitalise on that viewership from last week, start hot and try and keep people. And James says, I'm so lost with this. Why are they just giving the US title match to Jay? To try and convince him to stay. They're just trying to get him to stay. The crowd did not want Jey Uso to shake Paul Heyman's hand, and Jey Uso, quite rightly, has walked away. No sign of Jimmy yet, but I wouldn't say it's unlikely we'll see him. Megan says, I can see this storyline being studied in the future. Sean says, would Jay win the title? Would is a hard question to answer. He could. Everything is on the table. Peter is asking for spoilers from 8 months in the future. Just as a quick heads up, I'm not God. Joey says, why is Jey Uso challenging Austin Theory? It makes no sense. It makes perfect sense. Paul Heyman is established very clearly as being able to bend the ear of whoever is making matches. Austin Theory has been proven actually to be a fighting champion. Jey Uso has an opportunity which will likely be in the main event. Everybody wins. Where's the issue there? Mark says, what a brilliant way to start SmackDown. We have 4 qualifying matches. Butch versus Baron Corbin, Santos Escobar versus Mustafa Ali, Michin versus Bayley, and Shotzi versus Io Sky. For those who have not seen my predictions, I'm predicting Butch, Santos Escobar, Michin, and Io Sky. And we are indeed opening with Santos Escobar versus Mustafa Ali. I'm very excited for this. So the layout seems to be quite simple. You start off with the bloodline that draws as many people in as possible. You then give them Ali versus Santos Escobar, which if you're a wrestling fan, you're not turning that off. You're not turning that off. Rey Mysterio accompanying Santos Escobar, which of course adds that extra rub. Rey Mysterio is rubbing a lot of people at the moment, and it's working out very well for him. James, I don't think the championship's going to change hands. I think the match gets thrown out due to Solo Sikoa. Joey says, 2 heels facing each other in a front together match makes no sense. The heel thing, I agree with, but Jey Uso is not exactly being booed right now. Jey Uso, in fact, is being cheered right now and playing as a bit of a face. Mark says, it's a dumb question, but does he need permission from Eddie's family to use his start as a theme? No. Yeah, WWE own it. WWE can do what they want with it. They've in fact used it in a lot of different manners. But as much as anything, they tend to ask Rey Mysterio, would this be in bad taste? The answer is typically no. Sean says, do you think Seth will give NXT good ratings when he faces Bron Breakker? If he faces Bron Breakker, and if it's on NXT, yes, probably. Megan says, with this match, either way I'm happy, but I'm still sad both Ali and Escobar won't be in Money in the Bank. Personally, I've got Escobar because I feel like Ali and Baron Corbin are going to owe some favours, and it'll be more than one after this. Bailey says, you're picking Michin. Literally, if Bailey faced Natalya, it would be a draw because neither gets to win. I am picking Michin because I think the storyline right now is that Io Sky is getting the opportunities and earning the wins, whereas Bailey isn't. I think ultimately right now, at this stage of her career, Bailey is giving back, and giving back hard. This is an opportunity to give back to both Michin and Io Sky, and she wants to take it. I understand, obviously, you're a fan, and this is a difficult time to be a fan of Bailey. I am still very much hoping that championships will be coming her way. I was confident she'd be moving to SmackDown, but I thought championships would be in her future. It seems like championships instead are in Io Sky's future, and Bailey might just be helping to develop more people going forwards. No worries, Mark. Megan says, if I had to pick one for this match, I would say Ali. Chance to get the shot he was denied by Brock a few years ago. As I say, personally, I'm going Santos Escobar. If you watched my prediction video, Santos Escobar, Butch, and Cody Rhodes are my picks for the last 3 spots in the ladder match. Yep, Joey, they sent Ali down to NXT to help develop some names, help guarantee a big match in the same way they did with Ricochet way back when. James says Io versus Asuka will be a great match. I did report that that match is coming, and literally the night I reported it, we had a segment between Io Sky and Asuka. Venom, you've asked that question. Like, you've asked me that question. Cool. Oh no, it wasn't you. I do apologise, Venom. But that question has been asked and I've answered it, but I do apologise because it wasn't you. Joey says, seems like he'll be the next challenger for the North American title. So he says, championships, you're not allowed to say belts on here, Tom, unless you're not. You make the rules. I want to call them, personally, girdles. The Intercontinental girdle does look fantastic on Gunter, let's be fair. And Asuka will be getting a new girdle tonight, and it's going to look, I'm sure, okay. Sheamus has quite a collection of girdles in all different shapes, sizes and colours. The range of colours I think is the most impressive. Sean says, I think Bailey has the second worst record in 2023. I think she only has 2 wins. Miz has the worst, he has 0 wins. Sami Zayn for a long time was, I believe he went more than a year without a win. So it can turn around. It just depends when the WWE decide to pull that trigger. They have confirmed our main event will be Austin Theory versus Jey Uso. I don't expect Austin Theory to take part in the Money in the Bank pay-per-view, or I should say premium live event. I don't expect we're going to see him, so this is at least a good way to get him some attention. Should be a good match as well. Sean suggests Alexa, saying she's 0 for 2, but only 2, not exactly many. LA Knight is also on his way down to the ring to try and help hype up the multi-man element. I don't think it's impossible that he's coming down for commentary, because he's not dressed to wrestle. Though he's not dressed to wrestle. You know what I mean? He's not dressed to wrestle. Commentary, it seems. Very colourful attire in the ring. Megan says 34 people have 0 wins this year, but The Miz has the most losses of that group with 23. 34 people. Wow. Joey, I don't believe the report on Charlotte returning came from PW Insider. I believe it came from Boozer. It provides an opportunity to find out if Boozer has what it takes, as it were. Joe, I'm not even slightly desperate to watch Money in the Bank. I wouldn't say I'm desperate. I will hopefully watch and enjoy pay-per-views, but I'm never desperate to watch TV. Megan says a lot of them are on NXT or are part-timers. Cool, okay. And I imagine a lot of them are also hit row. I appreciate you double checking that, Joey. Like, I appreciate that. That's good stuff. LA Knight just doubled down and said any piece of gold is available to you. Is LA Knight going to be the next Intercontinental Champion? Someone's got to get that belt off Gunter. I am definitely starting to think that's their plan. Because there's no chance that any of the world champions are going to lose their belt. But they have to find a way to get it off Gunter. This would do the job. If, for example, it was indeed Drew McIntyre versus Gunter at SummerSlam, they go to war, they beat the crap out of each other, then LA Knight cashes in. I can see that working. See that working. Would anyone be upset? Nice. Would anyone be upset with a Money in the Bank cash in on a lower tier championship? So I say Stone Cold Lighters on commentary. That hopefully means no match. Peter will not watch Money in the Bank. Okay. And Mark says, yeah. So I says if LA Knight beats Gunter, then I'm rage quitting. Joey says, would love to see LA Knight go for the World Heavyweight title. If he does, he will not win it. And Joe says, I'd like to see Matt Riddle win the Money in the Bank. In which case, I'd imagine once again, he'll be cashing in on Gunter. In fact, I'm starting to kind of talk myself into this one. Kervin, I believe Charlotte's a face at the moment, but we'll see how that plays out. I'm going to do either a sneeze or a tweet. Oh. It was a sneeze. I'm also going to do a tweet. The only way I can see a successful Money in the Bank cash in this year is to get the belt off Gunter as dodgily as possible so that he can beat Seth for the top gold. Cool. Cheers, Mark. Joey says, I would think it should only be for one of the main titles, otherwise it doesn't feel important. I agree with that. But it's either that or double failed cash-ins. Megan says, main roster ones are Alexa Bliss, Angel Garza, B-Fab, Elias, Humberto Carrillo, Riddick Moss, Tamina, Xia Li, Marseille, Mansoor, and The Miz. Venom believes it would be a wasted opportunity with the briefcase as well. Sean, where have you heard that Xia Li is pregnant? Because if she was pregnant, she wouldn't wrestle. So source that for me. And yes, congratulations to Jessie McKay, which once again is one of the main reasons we're not seeing the Iconics back. Joey says, I would think it should only be... I've already read that one. And Brad says, Theory cashed in on the US title and failed last year. So he says, Money in the Bank is a scene of my finest moment on Tom's streams. I called Liv winning based on her crying all through her entrance. I think I've got everything wrong since. Yes, but that was good. Adam says, when you reported about Vince earlier and you said him not being fond of some of the Triple H guys, is Bronson Reed one of them, or is Vince fond of his run lately? Once again, I was saying that Vince McMahon is not booking people the same and has sort of de-pushed a couple of people. Didn't say anything about liking them. I need to be really clear on that. I did not say anything about who Vince McMahon likes or dislikes. That's not something I would report. Sean says maybe the Money in the Bank winner does what Austin Theory did last year and cashes in on the US title. I think someone can beat Austin Theory without it. Interesting, Sean. Venom says, I feel like it's more worth cashing in for the NXT title than a mid-card title. That would help NXT a lot. That's not a bad shout. But would mean LA Knight going back to NXT. Or Shinsuke Nakamura. Oh. I mean, Shinsuke Nakamura. Not gonna lie, I would laugh a lot if Cody wins it and then cashes in on Gunter. That feels like Vince McMahon booking, you know? You know, bad booking. Hey, Khalid, how you doing, mate? Good to see you. Good to see you. Joey says, if I had to guess, I don't think Vince is much of a fan of Johnny Gargano since he hasn't been on TV much. Once again, I have not reported anything about who Vince McMahon might like or dislike. I would not report that, and I'm not interested in having any conversations about who someone might personally favour. I'll talk about booking, I'll talk about who's getting pushed and who isn't getting pushed, but I'm not going to be one of those people who sit here and say, Vince really hates this person, so why are they even there, etc, etc. Venom, what is the point of the brand split if the NXT title is on SmackDown? Oof, sigh. Bismo says, my television feed for some reason is 2 minutes behind. Might head out so I don't get spoiled early on matches, even though it's not that big of a deal. Enjoy these watch-alongs. Appreciate that, Bismo. If that works for you, then absolutely that's fine. Also, if you want to mute me and just watch me during breaks, that's also cool. You're welcome to do that. Whatever works for you. Whatever helps you have a good... Ooh. LA Knight has basically stopped talking because he's so worried about the constant high-impact stuff that's happening right now. Good match so far. Fans are into it. Hello, noob. Oh, sorry to hear that, Joey. Because of the latency, there's actually a 20-30 second delay between what I'm saying and what's actually broadcast. So it should be way behind. There's plenty of people being pushed out of him. I've covered that at quite some length over the last few days and the last few weeks as well. Went into quite a lot of detail as to the next steps of the bloodline as well. So we're maintaining a very high impact match so far. Johnny did, Sean. Oh, that is one of the best tornado DDTs I've ever seen. That was beautiful. They're not exactly burying Ali here. Peter says, Vince McMahon only sees... You have no idea who Vince McMahon sees. You have absolutely no idea. Just gonna be real blunt on that one. You don't know. You can't sit here and say, this is exactly who Vince McMahon really likes. You have no idea. You're not him. Mark says these men are throwing everything at this match and I'm loving every second of it. And Venom wants to cash in on the main event of WrestleMania. You're not going to get your wish. We've got some top rope stuff happening right now. Or not. I've got to say, LA Knight is doing a good job. He's not overpowering the rest of the commentary team. He's doing good stuff for Money in the Bank itself. And when there is a big move like the finish we just saw, he's shutting his mouth. We have ourselves a winner advancing to Money in the Bank. Is Santos Escobar. Ali gave a good account to himself, but ultimately ended up in a difficult situation to get out of. Megan says, I was hoping this would be good and I'm glad to be right. In the end, only a 10-minute match, but they fit a lot into that 10 minutes. Rey Mysterio is calling the rest of the LWO down. And here they come. Zelina Vega, of course, already qualified for her Money in the Bank match as well. Mark gives the match a 9 out of 10. 9 out of 10. Very strong result there from Mark. I'm giving it an 8. I do feel they could have done a little bit more, but not by much. I just wish the match was a little bit longer, so honestly I'm blaming the booking rather than the wrestlers. Sami Zayn has popped up backstage with Jey Uso. At this point, Sami, you are stalking the man. Joey says it feels like a cruiserweight match, which is fair. James says, watch Dom come in at Money in the Bank and stop Santos from winning and grab the briefcase himself. Wouldn't matter. Not in the match. Although they've broken that rule before. Dom says, what's up, Tom and Chap? Don't forget to the like button. I have 6 words for you. What do you want to talk about? Yeah, Bismo, the turnbuckle spot was harsh. You are way behind, aren't you? Yeah, thank you for reminding us, Si. For those who don't know, Peter Englefield apparently had an incident with the pavement. No tables are involved, but he's not feeling great, so best wishes in his recovery. Si gives it an 8 out of 10, possibly an 8.01. Eric was hoping for Ali to win, still 9 to 10. Yes, Si, we're having essentially double Bloodline tonight, opening and main event. In fact, we're at the mid-hour draw segment, and we have Jey Uso and Sami Zayn backstage. We really do have a new tribal chief tonight with the segments throughout the show. Peter says, what is Sami Zayn doing on SmackDown? Sami Zayn is currently both a Raw and SmackDown champion. He can appear on both shows. This is established. Venom, not unfair. Kevin says, I hope the women's Money in the Bank is going to be better this year because last year was not good. I honestly can't really remember that strong. Gotta be honest with you. Megan gives the match a solid 9. Would have liked it to be a little longer, but they made the most of what they had. Bayley gives it an 8 out of 10. Sean says, I think Ali should have just pulled down the briefcase during the Money in the Bank match in 2019 instead of just standing there and waiting for Brock, which is not unfair. Not unfair. Peter does not rate Triple H as a booker. And James says, Sammy always getting involved when he keeps saying he will stop. Well, that's part of the storyline. When it comes to Roman Reigns, you try and quit, but he just pulls you back in. More of a push for that main event, the United States Championship match between Austin Theory and Jey Uso. The WWE right now are trying to maintain the viewership by consistently reminding us Bloodline B are coming. Joey says it seems like Seth was going to win it last year, but Vince changed it last minute to Theory. Seth was not going to win it last year. Cody Rhodes was going to be winning Money in the Bank last year. Conrad, how you doing, mate? Lovely to see you. Says, hey Tom, that is Everything Pro Wrestling, a YouTube channel I've appeared on several times myself. A very smart man who covers a variety of wrestling. I implore you guys to check his work out. How you doing, mate? So I keep seeing WWE docs like Hidden Treasures being advertised for US TV. I'd love them to make it to the network sometime. Me too. Me too. At the very least, they could make them like YouTube and just make them country exclusive. You've got options. Venom, I answered that question during spoiler warning. Joey says, was the plan for Cody to cash in? Yes. Now, winning that cash in, I'm not sure. But the plan was for Cody to pick up the win and go for Roman. In the end, it took him the rest of the year to get there, but he got there. Megan says, when Charlotte comes back, would you prefer to have her face or heel? Personally, I prefer heel Charlotte. When you look at the field on SmackDown right now, the opportunities are mostly on the face side, I feel. She'll have Asuka to work with, she'll have Bayley to work with, Io Sky technically still heel, and there's also people a little further down the card that she can try and make. That said, if she's a face, she could help build Io Sky, if she's a heel, she could help build Io Sky, and we could get that match against Bianca Belair, thus occupying Belair and keeping her away from the championship. I think Belair versus Flair might be our next big non-title match. And once again, a 4 horsewoman who is nowhere near a championship. Bayley, I have not seen anything on SmackDown about the death of the Iron Sheik yet. Plenty of time for that to change. Adam says, hey Tom, question, is Fight Fans UK a reputable source? They reported WWE is pushing for the Fiend to return, had every Bray Wyatt fan talking about it. So, I've met Jake, who works for Fight Fans. Seems like a stand-up guy as far as I can tell. I don't read everything that they publish. They have published some of my work, and I have conversations with Jake myself, so I know he's reaching out to lots of different sources, and for me, that's a pretty good sign. As regards WWE pushing for The Fiend to return, I am not aware of any plan for a return of The Fiend. Sean says, I saw a tweet by a user of the WWE app, then they need to update Becky's render. still shows her as women's tag team champion. That was a while back. Sean says Charlotte could also work with Michin as a heel. Fair. A good spot. Yeah. I forgot about that one. I'd love it if she ended up in a faction against the OC. I just don't know what that faction would look like. James says Ronda Rousey's best match was on the last Raw and she didn't even carry the match the 2 debuts did, which is nuts. So I says I think Dom gets Money in the Bank if he's in it. He's got more heat than anyone in the company and they've got form for hot-shotting that. Otis, Big E, Damien Sandow, etc. I would love it to be Dominic Mysterio. Would absolutely love it. And I think he would be absolutely fantastic with that briefcase. If you remember Big E following Roman Reigns around, just waving the briefcase at him, now imagine it's someone like Dominic. Oof. Sean says, I didn't like Katana and Jaden losing their debut match. Well, under Triple H, debuts are going to be losing more matches. You start at the bottom under Triple H, they'll have to work their way up. The WWE have just confirmed that Braun Strowman is going to be driving the pace car in, I believe, NASCAR, which sort of suggests that he's not going to be paralysed in one leg. So wherever that came from, it was never true to begin with, as I've mentioned. Kayla Braxton is introducing some new wrestlers. Is Alba Fire and Isla Dawn, the current women's tag team champions of NXT. They have started a build for them. Though really it's all about where they go from here. Ideally I'd keep these ones separate from the current WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. Because you're not James. He's not in any way paralysed in your leg. It's just not, it was never true. Charlotte and Triple M's not a terrible idea. Kelvin says WWE turned Charlotte babyface and heel a lot, never her character to be fresh and new. True, she has been basically the same character the entire time. Bismuth says Dom would get more massive heat if he won Money in the Bank. Oh, thank you, Peter. That's good information. Did you say shamelessly seductive? That's interesting. And here come off the Ronda Rousey. Well, that was a reception. Yeah, Peter has some good information saying WWE SmackDown is competing against NBA. Yes, Joey. Yes, he is. Hopefully, he can handle it. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler are on SmackDown. This is not a good sign for the NXT Women's Tag Team Championships. I suspect they might be about to go bye-bye. Correct side. Could be a unified girdle match incoming. Adam says they said WWE wasn't fond of the pitch black match that he had, the character that debuted at the Royal Rumble, as they feel it wouldn't draw merchandise sales as a Fiend. Okay, again, I'm not aware of the WWE having any plans to bring back the Fiend. Ronda Rousey getting some pretty serious hatred. What I will say is if they are going to unify the titles and have Fiery Dawn lose so quickly, at least you're going to be in a ring with a draw the power of Ronda Rousey. Please stop laughing. Please stop laughing. Please stop laughing. Yeah, Joey, the pitch black match was terribly received. The swamp fight was also terribly received. The Fiend in general was not very well received. Okay, so Fiery Dawn got the first hit in and now they're getting demolished. Not really much of a surprise there. Megan's not happy to see Ronda. Sean says not sure why they repackaged Kaylee Ray, and Bayley says Katana and Kaden had a good match, but they are really small compared to the size of other teams. Yeah, they're very much a cruiserweight tag team. Rousey and Baszler taking a few hits. And in fact, they are on retreat. Rousey and Baszler running away at this point. Over the last few weeks, Triple H has been cleaning up the title situation. This may be one of the last things to do. I've mentioned the plan for the tag championships. I've mentioned the plan for the women's championships. That comes into play tonight, likely in the draw segment. A unification match at least makes a bit more sense rather than having two sets. Never have two sets. Bayley says, where did Kayla go? She ran. She ran. Here we go. We're getting a tribute package to the Iron Sheik. Megan says, don't do this at Money in the Bank. Ronda and Shayna will get booed out of the building. But doesn't that kind of work for Fiery Dawn? Kevin says, this is why I respect Baron Corbin for trying to get different character gimmicks over. And Mark is just excited to see Alba Fire in a match. It looks like Rousey and Baszler will try and put him over. In defeat, but, you know, it's something. I am very much wondering how much of the Iron Sheik's Twitter will be celebrating this particular one. Sergeant Slaughter popping up. Interesting because we're hearing so much about him being unhappy with the company. Kieran says, to quote the great Iron Sheik, fuck Hulk Hogan. Well said, well said. The Iron Sheik, of course, only became a champion in order to put over Hulk Hogan, which he did. So says the official Sheik documentary is superb, by the way. Joey says if WWE really wanted to build new stars, they would have Lisa? Oh, Isla, sorry. Isla and Alba go over. They do want to build new stars. They don't want to trample over the stars that they already have, though. As I say, under Triple H, the system's different. If you're new to the main roster, you're going to be losing more matches. That's how it goes for Triple H. You start at the bottom, not at the top. Adam says, let me ask your personal opinion, with all the Vince rumblings about him creatively changing things, do you see him taking over 100% creative control? No, because he already has 100% creative control. I could not have been more clear on this. Vince McMahon oversees every single creative choice by every part of the creative team of WWE. Vince McMahon, since the day after WrestleMania, is actively in charge of every piece of creative. All of it. Okay? By and large, he leaves it to Triple H, but there are some exceptions, which I mentioned earlier on during spoiler warning. Since reporting this, I've been asked a number of times, will Vince take over creative? He has. He is in charge. We are back in Vince's world. That's it. A few members of the crowd trying to get a Sheik chant going. Not with the most success. They have a clunky chant. But next up, Damage Control. That new music. Bayley's qualifying match comes first. It will be Bayley versus Michin. And later tonight, Io Sky will go up against Shotzi. There is a lot of focus on Io Sky right now. The plan's real simple. Build her towards Asuka. So I spoke basically since the formation of Damage Control at SummerSlam last year about the fact that they are teasing Asuka versus Io Sky by keeping them separate as much as possible when they're within a match or within a segment. That is for what's coming. Io Sky versus Asuka is very much the plan. There is a bit more work alongside Triple H, Peter. There's a lot more care and effort from Triple H to make sure that Vince McMahon doesn't change things, and a lot more negotiation than there used to be. But Vince McMahon's in charge. Mark says, did WWE still script every single promo word for word, or has that calmed down? The WWE have never scripted every promo word for word. Certain people will reach a point whereby instead of being scripted, they get bullet points. Certain people will then reach a point where instead of bullet points, they get told, go out there and talk about this. John Cena, for example, stopped being scripted in 2004. Didn't even have bullet points since then. There has never been a point when every promo has been scripted word for word. Joey thinks Raw's been boring the last couple of weeks. Ofa says, hate to see that Mr. Sparkles and Champagne is most likely losing his forever champ status tonight. Mr. Sparkles and Champagne. Mr. Sparkle. That's a line, mate. That's a line. How you doing, mate? Good to see you. We are nearly halfway through. We have Bayley versus Michin next. After that, I would imagine we're going to be introduced to a new World Championship. And then we enter hour 2. A little more from Jimmy Uso to keep you interested going into the finish. Probably something about... a little more from Jey Uso. Probably something about Jimmy as we build towards it. We know our main event, but there's also going to be 2 more matches for Money in the Bank qualifying. 1 men's, 1 women's. So it's going to be a busy one. 6 matches on this week's SmackDown. Usually Triple H keeps it to 4. No, Adam. Once again, I've been asked that plenty. Triple H is in situ as COO. He has exactly the same amount of power as he's going to have going forwards. I appreciate you clarifying your question. James says that'll be why The Rock had the notes on his wrist so he wouldn't go blank when thinking of his promo on the fly. Yeah, he prefers bullet points. So, here's the thing. A lot of people think, oh, you shouldn't be scripting wrestlers at all. A lot of wrestlers need scripting. A lot of people are of the opinion, oh, they shouldn't even be giving them bullet points. A lot of wrestlers really need bullet points. It's not easy, mate. It's not easy. Peter, SmackDown last week was really good. It's just really good. SmackDown in general has been a great show the last few weeks. I disagree when you say it's all been really bad. Ofa says, the usual, tired, annoyed at Money in the Bank ticket prices and wondering why SmackDown is so long. God, you must hate Raw. You must hate Raw. I wouldn't know, Joey. I've never actually seen it, but I've seen highlights. They weren't good. They really weren't good. Michin has come down to the ring. Logically, I would expect AJ Styles to... Yep. AJ Styles is accompanying her to the ring. AJ Styles providing the rub that Rey Mysterio was providing earlier. Everyone's getting rubbed tonight. Everyone's getting the rub. Sean, Vince McMahon trusts Triple H as much as he ever has. He still oversees the scripts. That's his job. More often than not, Triple H is left to it. But as I say, sometimes changes are made. It's not down to trust. Vince McMahon loves his baby. AJ Styles now on commentary. The WWE are definitely trying to do anything to keep hold of attention at the moment. Bayley teasing AJ Styles is quite fun. Good catch from Bayley, needed to be. Mark says Raw was great. Heard great things about Damian Priest. Ophus says, I don't watch Raw anyway because I have college on Tuesday mornings. I watch it during Tuesday's work shift. Because I have to, because I cannot watch it live. Joey says, I was shocked that Undertaker didn't have a neck injury from that match. Goldberg almost killed him. Blue says, hi Tom. Hello Blue. And Jaden's here as well, saying SmackDown women's matches have been way too short. Hope that changes tonight. I think it will change tonight because all of the SmackDown matches are going to be short. If you factor out the commercial breaks, you get about 40 minutes per hour of SmackDown. A third of the show is immediately swallowed up. Then you have, for example, the opening promo, you have the backstage stuff. That takes out, say, 15 minutes. That leaves us with 25 minutes per hour for 3 matches, including entrances. They're not going to be long. Mark says, would love to be a fly on the wall when Triple H and Vince have meetings. A lot of it's just emails, to be honest. Sean says, a friend of mine says he doesn't want Bayley to go back to a face. He believes she'll go back to the hugger. The WWE does not go backwards. I've said it before. I will say it again. The WWE does not go backwards and just like, okay, he's going to be his old character now. She's going to be her old character now. That's not what they do. Okay, Eric, you're entitled to your opinion. James says, why wouldn't a man that runs a multi-million-dollar company have a say in everything that goes on? It's pretty logical. Yep. Given his position, it makes perfect sense. He's been getting involved a lot more recently, and from what I can tell, majority of fans are happy with the changes that he's making. Michin is dominating Bayley right now. Bayley distracting herself with AJ Styles, now grabbing the hair. We haven't seen too much Michin in action. Looks like that'll be it for Bayley. Bayley picks up the win. I did have Michin for that one. That was short. I give the match a 3. Just too short. Scarlett Bordeaux has arrived to distract AJ Styles. Oh, no. She's dusted him. Karrion Kross attacking from behind. Michin came after Scarlett. Karrion Kross has rescued her. Wouldn't mind that as a mixed tag. Why not? Leon gives it a 2. Alpha says 3 is generous. Alpha says they have one thing to say about this match. Damage control. Ugh. Joey says seriously. 2 minutes. Yeah, I wouldn't expect anything to be particularly long. Sean says maybe EO doesn't qualify then. Maybe not. Fair point. Shotzi does have previous in Money in the Bank matches. We're getting a recap of last week. Bianca Belair attacking Asuka from behind. Our draw segment for the night seems like it's going to be the debut of the new Women's Championship for SmackDown. Megan says 4, meh, and short. Mark gives the match a 5. Sasha says Carmella went back to her old gimmick. Did she? I really don't think she did. Joey says WWE still treats the women's division like a joke. Historically, over the last few years, Triple H has treated it a lot worse than Vince McMahon has. Jaden says, like I said, the women's matches are shorter than the men's, and you are correct. Bianca Belair is backstage with Adam Pearce. Adam Pearce is asking Bianca not to attack someone from behind. Adam Pearce pointing out Bianca is in line for a rematch. I expect that to take place at Money in the Bank. Blue says, Tom, do you usually watch Raw in one sitting or multiple? Because of my workload, I will watch it, pause it, watch it, pause it, watch it, pause it. And it'll be on sort of in the background while I'm working. Now, my job involves a lot of data management, so. Bianca Belair has confirmed her rematch. Fable free, shout. So our draw segment is up next. And I'm interested. Joey likes the look. I didn't immediately recognise her, to be honest. I'll take this opportunity as we're about to finish the first hour to say if you haven't done so yet, please do consider hitting the like button. Every like does increase the possibility that we'll get new people joining us, and as we get new people and continue to grow, as we get more and more of this, I get closer and closer to full time and you get more and more Tom Colohue content. We're currently at 2,457 subscribers. 3 more to get to 2,460. So if you're able to, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. Blue says, do you think the rebrand of the women's titles is a good idea? Yes. We cannot keep going as we are. We absolutely can't do it. We need new girdles. Okay? We need new girdles. Okay, Adam. Appreciate the heads up. Ofa says, the belt reveal is the only reason I chose to watch this show instead of early beddy buys. Well, check out the belt reveal. If it's not exactly what you were hoping for, by all means, get yourself some sleep. I could not blame you. Joey. No. How dare you? Rude. Sean says, here's a video game question. Mortal Kombat had a crossover with Tekken. Which 3 fights would you play? I haven't ever really played all that much Tekken. Mortal Kombat was always a Scorpion guy, so let's say Scorpion and King. I don't know, it feels like there'd be a lot of throwing people around in that, which I'm okay with. King was a wrestler, wasn't he? I don't know. I've not played a lot of Tekken, and when I did, it was the Streets of Rage mode that they briefly had on, I believe, Tekken 3. Streets of Rage mode, by the way, fantastic. I briefly streamed Streets of Rage 4 on Twitch back in the gaming days. And I had fun. Ed will likely be the only person to remember it. Adam, my favourite wrestler is Triple H. Yoshimitsu versus Kenshi. Yoshimitsu, to my knowledge, is Soul Calibur. Or is Yoshimitsu on both Tekken and Soul Calibur? If we're involving Soul Calibur in there, it opens up a whole world. Is it Voldo, the real creepy one? Mr. Gimp Mask himself? Because he's got options. Zombie Liu Kang versus Voldo. Peter says, Roman Reigns said during Ariel Helwani interview the island of relevancy Monica is to make other WWE superstars relevant so they can lose to him on pay-per-view. Yeah, he would say that. He is, of course, Roman Reigns. James says, how is Roman in the GOAT talk if he can't even compete constantly? Because he is that damn good. He's defended the championship about as often as CM Punk did. You know that, right? Hogan says, I guess I can appreciate WWE Women's title and World Women's title being consistent with the men's new naming conventions. Have they told us what the new name is going to be yet? Marshall Law Liu Kang makes sense. Not every day is going to be a great day for your favourite, mate. Unfortunately, that's just not going to happen. We're going backstage where AJ Styles is telling everyone he wants Cross. I would suggest he's Cross. Wow, which? Mean. Okay, we are officially in draw segment territory. Championship is in the ring. There you go, WWE Women's Championship. Says it all, really. Now, logically, we're just going to see 2 different types of gold here. This would be consistent with the Roman Reigns style. In Joey, that seems most likely, yes. Asuka on her way down. Yes, Peter, Rhea Ripley will get a new championship. This will likely be the last time for a long time we see ourselves a Raw Women's Championship. CM, you've missed quite a bit. You've missed the setup for the main event, which will be Jey Uso versus Austin Theory. You've missed a segment with Sami Zayn and Jey Uso as well. And 3 matches, 2 of which are qualifiers. I don't think it'll be green or pink, James. Interesting, Sean. Thank you. Okay, let's see what we've got. The championship is being unveiled. It's exactly what we expected it to be. It's the Roman Reigns Championship with a white strap. They've just changed it from red to gold. Can I just say, suits Asuka. I like that she's wearing a white belt anyway. And we do indeed have Charlotte Flair returning. There is no time for a match. Now, I have mentioned that I was expecting to see Charlotte Flair in the near future. I think there's every possibility that Money in the Bank features Bianca Belair versus Asuka versus Charlotte Flair now. But I was expecting her to be back within the next couple of weeks, ready for SummerSlam. It's a tick in the column for Boozer, I'll tell you that. Charlotte Flair will automatically become the top woman on SmackDown, and will guarantee longer matches because they won't dare anything else. Charlotte Flair will have long matches. Disagree, Ofer. Disagree. Joey says, why? Because she's employed and you might as well get bang for your buck. I'd rather my employees were there and working personally, and she's now finished the break that she was originally booked for. She came back ahead of WrestleMania to basically help out when Ronda Rousey said, nah, I don't want to wrestle Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania. I don't want to lose. Enjoy, Joey. See you in a bit. Hello, Callie. How are you? Charlotte has a lot of previous for ruining Asuka's moment. Like a lot of previous. That's a tweet and I'm going to tweet it. Charlotte Flair has a lot of previous for ruining Asuka's moment. A lot of woos, people behind Charlotte Flair. Adam Pearce telling her to get in line. Interesting. Hogan says, when I was a kid, I liked each belt looking unique. As an adult, I'd like each world championship having the same base design, since it visually puts them on even footing. There's a lot of cheers for Charlotte Flair. Charlotte Flair basically demanding a championship, and the crowd are behind her for it. Blue prefers it. Alpha says, yeah, you tell her, Adam. And Sai says, Charlotte has a lot of previous for ruining belt changeovers too. Also a very fair point. Sean says, looks like Charlotte is face since Asuka is heel. Indeed. And Bailey says Charlotte won't go with just 3 wins in a year. Logically, then, next week we'll have Bianca Belair versus Charlotte for the championship opportunity to kick off Charlotte versus Bianca. Megan says, good for her coming back, but for the love of God's keep her away from the title picture. It's Charlotte Flair. She's immediately walked into the championship picture. Eric, yes, Rhea will get a new championship as well. Guys, we all know who Charlotte Flair is, okay? I'm surprised that there's so many questions saying, oh, why can Charlotte do that? It's Charlotte Flair. We all know who she is. We all know how it goes. I'm still leaning on triple threat. I would expect Charlotte versus Asuka for SummerSlam, and honestly, I fancy Asuka's chances. I would fancy Asuka's chances against Charlotte at SummerSlam, having defeated Bianca at Money in the Bank, but I also think a triple threat is likely at this point. So I would be quite happy with a triple threat with these two and Bianca as well. Mark is also predicting the triple threat. So that was our draw segment. Certainly it'll keep eyes, it's a big return. We're getting a recap of the beginning of the show because God knows nobody watched it, apparently. The WWE just have absolute confidence that nobody is watching their show. Not really unusual for WWE. Jey Uso, of course, walked away, as we saw. Solo Sikoa in that whole segment said absolutely nothing. I did expect another Jey Uso segment backstage. This time it's with Paul Heyman. But he says, I have to be honest, it takes me days to watch Raw. Still hate these recaps. There is a lot of rollover when it comes to viewership. Paul Heyman is very much trying to butter Jey up here. It smacks of fear from Roman Reigns. Worried about losing his man. Sean, your question is, if this happens, how could this happen? Moving on. Hogan says they don't exactly have a lot of credible options on SmackDown beyond Bianca, Io and Bayley. Makes sense that Charlotte would jump to the top. As I say, I'd be looking at triple threat just to freshen things up a little bit. Ofa, what are the reported plans and who are they being reported by? Dive in. Stop with the grooming. Paul Heyman needs to stop with the grooming. Like, we know what's happening here. Another reference to main event Jey Uso. Ooh. Something is different in Jey Uso today. It's like a weight has been lifted off his shoulders tonight. Appreciate that, Ofa. It doesn't surprise me, and yes, I have heard that through the grapevine, as it were, but mostly through other wrestling media. I definitely think there's a Roman Jimmy match coming, and Jimmy's going to get mauled. Butch is on his way down to the ring alongside Ridge Holland and Sheamus. A lot of focus has been put on Butch over the last few weeks. I'm excited to see how it goes. Butch is being left to do his own thing. He's been left to his own devices, though, which shows the confidence that Sheamus has in him. Baron Corbin, who's been moved onto NXT for the next few weeks, will be wrestling on this one. My prediction was Butch for this. 456, yeah, mate, says I think this whole thing's going to turn around with Paul Heyman going back to Brock Lesnar, taking the belt off, and then comes Cody. Leon says I thought Butch was getting the Pete Dunne name back. Yeah, a lot of people reported that. I didn't. Peter says SmackDown's been great tonight. And Joey says WWE copy and pasted Roman's new belt on the women's title. Yes, that's intentional. They're trying to be consistent with the designs on SmackDown. They will also be consistent with the designs on Raw. What I will say is I do feel like that championship was designed to look very good around the waist of one Charlotte Flair. Although we are calling them girdles at the moment. Rather than championships or belts. They'd be girdles. Okay, sure, and that's an interesting way to say who's going to beat Roman. I've already shared all of the information I have on that and all of my opinions on that. There are plenty of people, but most of them are bloodline related, so Jey Uso would be the one I'm looking at. Particularly with how they're building him up this week. It's really starting to feel like he's already decided to walk away. I think tonight ends with Solo beating Jey down and Jimmy coming down to rescue him. I think the Usos stand tall tonight, and I think we've got some new faces on our hands. Ofa says, just checked in WrestleFeed is not telling me who is reporting it. Fair enough, Ofa. Might well be a bit of guesswork then. James says, have you thought of doing an audio-only stream while you're doing this for the people who can't watch or are working? So essentially, this can be an audio-only stream. You just have to watch something else. So you can open this, the audio will still be coming through, and then either you go to a different tab, or if you're listening through your phone, just put headphones in, or just listen and put the phone down. You'll still get the audio. So this is perfectly easy to be an audio-only stream. I don't need to do it separately. It is going to be done. Blue suggests the championship Cummerbund. Hofer says, so WrestleFeed did tell me Plan must have LA Knight cash in at SummerSlam, so trust it if you choose. I choose not. Bismo says, wish the higher ups who designed these new championship titles tried a little harder being creative with them. And Blue says, I spend most of my time doing other stuff while listening, cleaning, cooking, etc. Which absolutely, I totally get it. I think quite a few people, for example, listen to Spoiler Warning as a podcast. They just put it on in the background, and I applaud that. This is not the most exciting show to watch visually. The only exciting thing is the design that Sai put together. I ain't exactly an exciting guy, and I'm not doing very much. I'm watching TV and I'm talking. I think the whole point of a watch party in particular is that you're not supposed to be looking at me. You're just supposed to have me on in the background. So it works for me just fine. Mark says, Andrade just tweeted this, the Queen, La Reina. And 456 says, this is a great channel. Thank you, Tom, for your time. Appreciate that, mate. Ultimately, I'm doing this because I want to. I enjoy doing these shows. But it's not exactly an unhappy coincidence that I enjoy it, you guys seem to have fun, and I make some money from it. You know, every time you guys watch an ad, I get paid. Meanwhile, we continue to grow and I continue to get closer and closer to full time. And I have absolute confidence that 5 years from now, when I turn 40, I'll be able to do this full time. At which point, I could go down to a 25-hour work week. You get more wrestling content. And I also launch the gaming and the news side. And the football side. And I'm a busy, busy boy. Adam Pearce just saying, I'll figure it out, to Bianca. Pete says, Tom, will you be at Money in the Bank? Nope. Brad says, why do I see Butch losing? I don't know your brain, mate. Eric says, Bianca needs tag titles to be a Grand Slam, right? Yes, I do believe so. Jaden, I don't know what you're implying. NXT champion Carmelo Hayes is ringside with Trick Williams. As I've mentioned, the intention of NXT right now is to try and get a TV deal for it, because then the company will make more money. I also mentioned a while back when we were talking about people being let go and people being released, the WWE's plan first and foremost is to make more money, and having a good TV deal for NXT will be half the job there. Hogan says that belt she pointed out was originally the WWE Women's Championship that she won at WrestleMania 32. In a way, it's kind of fitting that Charlotte showed up after they finally redesigned it. Brad, the NXT Championship is not part of the Grand Slam. The Grand Slam is Raw, SmackDown, Tag. She doesn't, Jaden. She doesn't. Lucha Libre memes, how you doing? So they're going to try and push NXT like a third brand ECW style. No, they're going to try and push NXT as a third brand NXT style in the same way that they did previously when they were live on USA before 2.0. The Happy Corbin gimmick and music really don't work anymore. Baron Corbin's going to lose real quick. Real quick. So in many ways, Baron Corbin is clearly calling out Carmelo. Yeah, Jane, that doesn't mean anything. She may have pointed at the red title, so what? She wants a championship, there's a championship. Hogan says Baron Corbin in shorts is a cursed look. Baron Corbin right now is getting beat down. I'm interested to see if he does lose this, where does he go from here? Because they need to try and keep him strong for Carmelo, but a loss here really don't work in that favour. I don't believe they are, Eric. I don't believe they're teasing a heel turn for Bianca. Ofer says Baron Corbin looks like the dad who has weekend custody of his kids at the beach. He's the fun dad. He's the fun dad. No, Sean, I don't think Tiffany gets a Mandy Rose reign with the title. I don't think we see a Mandy Rose reign with the title for quite a while. The reign would have been slightly longer, but Roxanne was always going to be the one to win it. Butch going for the break. Joint Manipulation would still have been a very, very good name for the tag team of Pete Dunne and Matt Riddle. I hope at some point they go back to that because it was gold. Corbin is constantly distracting himself with Carmelo Hayes. It's not clever. And I'm pretty sure it's going to cost him the victory. That was a bad pin. That was a bad pin. Bismo says, Tom, your show, prefer it how you do it. Relaxed and chill. It's basically talking to a bunch of buddies of stuff you know about. Just very calm. Don't need someone being very hyped during the show. That's how I like to approach it, Bismo. I'm not someone who gets all that hype, to be honest. I'm a pretty chill person. I'm not a shouter. Even when, you know, my life's falling apart, getting loud ain't really for me. And I am just hanging out with my buddies. I started this show because I wanted to watch wrestling with my friends. The first pay-per-view we watched live as a watch party was the Royal Rumble. Now, historically, before this, I would watch Royal Rumble with two friends. But it was a pandemic. We were locked down, so I couldn't. Because I couldn't, I launched this and I did what I could. And it's got bigger and bigger and bigger. But I never want to let go of that original intention. I just want to watch wrestling with friends. I really don't think it's too much to ask. We have ourselves a hype package for Bobby Lashley. He is, of course, on SmackDown. We just haven't seen much of him so far. Seems like they've still been having him focus on Austin Theory. There aren't really that many obvious people. Sheamus versus Lashley seems like a strong possibility. Because I've seen far too much of him on Austin Theory already. Leon doesn't like the ring gear. Joey says, why are all the matches rushed? Because I've got to get through 6 of them. I covered this a little earlier. There's just a lot to get through. Ofer says, the fact Riddle and Dunn were never known as high society disturbs me. Eric says, do you think Mandy would have passed Asuka if she hadn't got fired the next day? Yeah. KFC's are KFC's, mate. Standard. James says, supreme dominance but loses a lot recently. I don't get it. Doesn't take the pin a lot. Megan has given the last match another 4. Did what he needed to do, but a bit meh. Yeah, Butch versus Baron Corbin. Again, it's a free for me. Far too short. One person looked dominant, distracted themselves, then got rolled up. Yeah, no, Sean. My partner is into whatever my partner's into. And by and large, I don't really try and change that. There's plenty enough that we can both enjoy and plenty enough that we can enjoy separately. That suits me just fine. Shotzi made her entrance before the commercial break. As we move into our final third, we have 2 matches left. Shotzi versus Io Sky next, likely to be less than 10 minutes once again. And then, then we'll have our main event between Jey Uso and Austin Theory, which will likely be 15 to 20 minutes. I don't for a moment believe that Solo Sikoa will stay out of the way. Not to be confused with Solo Sikoa staying out of the way. Just to be clear on that. I don't want to cause any confusion. I don't really have a favourite fast food, to be honest, Joey. I think I'm a pizza guy, like Domino's or something, but every now and then I like a good curry. So I gave the match a 5, mark of 5 as well. No, over. Haven't had to watch Love Island. Occasionally my partner watches Love Island and I say, no, it's not for me, so I do something else. Yeah, my relationship doesn't involve any making each other do anything. Pretty good. Pretty good. Joey says, what's up with Corbin wearing gym shorts? He wants to. Right now, Baron Corbin doesn't have a gimmick. So he's just basically dressing in his streets. Eventually, they're just going to have him bust out the grill. It's going to be great. Lucha Libre memes wants to make sure that match gets given 5 stars by Dave Meltzer. It feels a bit like the Attitude Era tonight. They are flying through the matches with very little regard for the dizziness it's inspiring. Just absolutely flying through them. And the actual angle is based entirely on the main event. But there's no Roman tonight. They're up against stiff competition and they're trying to make sure they keep a good rating. I don't hate what they're doing, but I can't really say I love it either. I don't think this particular SmackDown is going to go down in the history books anytime soon. Joey says Corbin's really living up to being a jobber. Pretty much, yes. Ofa says, lucky you, if I had a quid for every time I've been made to watch Hamilton, I'd have enough to buy an LA Knight t-shirt. I like Hamilton. The kids made me watch that. The kids have things that they like and they let me know. And then I watch the things that they like. And I get confused. I know, Ofa, in the end I didn't actually get around to watching Double or Nothing, but I'll be at All In. So I'll be watching All In live. Butch is being interviewed backstage. I can definitely imagine Butch being quite heavily celebrated back in the UK. Cameron Grimes has punched Baron Corbin, but he had to jump up to do it. That was quite funny. So says the men's Money in the Bank qualifiers are interesting. Ricochet, Escobar, Butch, Nakamura, LA Knight, and either Riddle or Priest. Not sure if I see a girdle contender beyond Riddle or Priest, but the match will be great. I'd be leaning towards Shinsuke personally. Maybe Ofa. We'll see how it goes. I will have other things that I need to be getting on with at the same time. Joey, the main reason I chose the AEW show over Money in the Bank is because I'm going to the AEW show for a friend's birthday and I am doing a watch party for Money in the Bank. That's the main reason. Lucha Libre says, Tom, how you doing tonight, by the way? Looking forward to the AEW video game. Not really. I haven't played a wrestling game in a long time and it's not really that interesting. Peter says, how much is a WWE network in the UK? £9.99. £9.99. Bailey says, who's jobbing more, Corbin or Elias? I think it's Corbin because he's on TV more. We lose track of Elias for long periods of time. Io Sky versus Shotzi is a match that should get a lot longer. should just get a lot longer than it's going to. These two could have a lot of fun, and we know they're just not going to be able to. Ultimately, guys, the WWE are confident regardless of price they will sell out Money in the Bank. So that's the plan. Bit of joint manipulation on Shotzi there. I do apologise if you can hear Dragon Guy outside my window. Okay, I definitely feel like this match is not going to last very long because the tempo is already so high. Io's throwing most of her top stuff out already. Mark, the O2 and the surrounding areas are basically the most amenable to WWE, and that's why. Oh, lovely German. Blue says, what would you say is your favourite and least favourite title reigns? It's a bit of a big question, to be honest with you, mate. Like, favourite title reigns. Io Sky just got whacked in the face full pelt. I'll need some time for that one, mate. So Io Sky definitely got hit there. It looks like we're heading into the finish already. Bayley's distracted Shotzi. Io's capitalising on it. Nope, Shotzi survives. I'm really not sure how this is going to be. Oh, nope. Okay, we got to work on this, guys. We cannot be doing that. We absolutely cannot be doing spots like that. Shoulders also not down. That was a sloppy match. Oh, you cannot be doing that to yourself. Like, that's the lack of distance for Shotzi. So Bayley and Io Sky have qualified together. Should create some opportunities for them to work together. Sai's given the match a 2. There was 2 very sloppy moments there. I would agree with you on a 2, to be honest. Again, very short. We didn't really get a chance to see very much. And yeah, there was 2 bad moments. Blue believes that Bayley's going to cost Io the match. Well, I mean, everyone for herself. Bayley not a fan of Shotzi. And Sean says Becky will win. Personally, in my Money in the Bank video, I believe Becky would win as well. Primarily because I don't think she'll successfully cash in because Trish Stratus. Our half-hour draw segment features Austin Theory. Now, Austin Theory is not the story here. He has one promo to get this over. And it's not a bad job done. Not a bad job done. Certainly they need to hype Jay's opponent and not just Jay, and they have not done that so far. Mark gives it a 4, says horrible match but Io won. And Ofer is just screaming for Austin Theory. Austin Theory makes Ofer scream. Surprised they haven't done like Ofer down. So we still have plenty of commercial breaks. Logically, when we get back, we'll have some sort of backstage segment or some sort of promo to kill 5-10 minutes. Start our entrances, have another commercial break, naturally. Finish our entrances, the match kicks off, commercial break. So at most it's going to be 15 minutes. This is always the most difficult part of watching a Raw or a SmackDown. When you enter that last half hour and you're just waiting for the actual match to start. Because they throw anything at you. And it's just not very exciting, but at this point you've already committed. Can't say no now. Peter, if that was the case, they wouldn't have had her in a qualifying match. The WWE do believe that Shotzi will be able to deliver. Unfortunately, so far, not quite. Joey says, what happened to Shotzi? She was good in NXT, but her wrestling has been terrible on the main roster. I think terrible's a bit too far. She's definitely had a couple of sloppy moments, but I think terrible's gone way too far. As regards to what happened, it might be down to scrutiny, it might be down to different way they set up the ring rugs, it might be down to the crowd, it might be down to ring rust, it might be down to the fact that she's in fact the opposite, working a lot harder and having a lot of additional matches. It might be down to travel, it might be down to the fact that she can't sleep in particularly hard mattresses, and some certain hotels have harder mattresses. It might be some sort of personal issue. It could be anything in the world, including the opponents that she's currently facing not quite gelling with her for chemistry. Sometimes accidents do happen. And sometimes, unfortunately, a wrestler needs to say, let's accept that I'm not doing the best I could do right now. Let's just get a bit more practice in. So I said, to be fair, anyone could botch that spot. It was high risk. Shotzi should never have been put in that position. Ultimately, the person at the most risk is Shotzi herself. Also not a good thing. Sean says, Tom, I'd like to get your opinion on this. Sheamus beat John Cena while he was still in his prime. Austin beat John Cena while he was past his prime. Which is the bigger win? The one that, like, was Sheamus at WrestleMania for a championship? Slightly different situation. Sean says, maybe Shotzi was told to tone down her style. Under Triple H, that definitely won't be the case. And Bailey says, the problem with Shotzi is she has one speed, full. That's a very good point, and actually very accurate for what we're seeing. She goes at a rip-roaring tempo and never has time to prepare herself, and her opponent never has time to prepare for what's coming. When she went head first into Io certainly wasn't ready for it. To be fair, it's also true of Nia Jax. Didn't really think about what everyone else was doing. She just did what she was doing. We are backstage, and we are with Sami Zayn. Oh, the tables match. Yeah, well, that was for the World Championship, so Sheamus is bigger. Pretty Deadly have turned up. To basically attack, verbally, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. We are, as I did mention last Friday, in fact on Monday I believe it was, a busy one, we are at this point definitely starting the rebuild for the Tag Team Championship separation. Triple H is confident that we have more than enough tag teams on SmackDown, and looking at this, we really do. Kevin Owens is starting to get real wound up. I just love that they feel like an old married couple. They do all want tag team title matches. Adam Pearce just shoved Kevin Owens out of the way. Peter says, are you going to watch Forbidden Door? Probably. Card looks pretty good so far. Blue says, I like Shotzi, but she seems more than a bit reckless in the ring. We have it confirmed next week we'll have a tag team gauntlet match to determine a new challenger on the SmackDown side for the tag team championships. We're getting a little Grayson Waller hype. We have definitely got a commercial break incoming. There is a definite push coming for Grayson Waller. Key to that, of course, is just keeping him on TV as often as possible. So even when he doesn't appear in the arena, like for example right now, he's still appearing on TV. They're doing the same for Johnny Gargano, making sure that there is reason to think about him at the very least. They showed him working AJ Styles, which is funny because AJ Styles is working someone else. I also really don't think they should focus on that elbow drop. Bit flaily. Okay, he really reminds me of Austin Theory in the selfie thing. Interviewing Charlotte Flair next week though. Sean says, I don't mind seeing Grayson Waller talk, but I want to see him wrestle. At the moment, not the plan. They are building him up as a talker first. Bailey says, Kevin Owens never forgets anything as a character. A year from now, he'll say something that everyone will have forgotten about. He will remember that Adam Pearce pushed him, much like he remembers when he got pie-faced. Jey Uso is making his entrance for the main event match against Austin Theory. There is most definitely another commercial break coming and we all know it. Ofer says, you have to understand Grayson Waller's match with Johnny Gargano, a stand and deliver, was a 10 out of 10. Was it? Like, I've never really seen him wrestle much. Like, I've heard good things about him talking, but I've not heard good things about his wrestling. I haven't heard anything about his wrestling. So yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with Joey there. Let's make it happen. Oh look, it's a commercial break. Complete dead zone. That 10 minutes after the half hour is a complete waste of time. Always is. Joey says, is he supposed to be the Miz of SmackDown? Yes. But of course he's at the beginning of his career. So he's supposed to be developing into what the Miz was at his peak, bit by bit. But the WWE make a point of always having at least one talk show on each side. Kevin Owens, the Miz, Grayson Waller, the obvious choices. Sami Zayn for a while had one as well, if you remember. That was a time. No, the Miz is indeed on Raw. It's easy to forget. Very easy to forget. It's been fairly fresh in the memory at the moment. We've only just really seen it. Bailey does have one. Ding dong hello. Fair point. But I imagine the reason we're not really pushing that at the moment is so that Grayson Waller has more TV time. It's a very fair comment. Over says Alexa Bliss had one, MVP had one, Jericho had one, HBK had one even. Yep, they always make sure they've got at least one per side. The moment of Bliss was good stuff as well. Joey says, I don't know how they expect Grayson to get over when he's doing talk shows every week. Easily. He's supposed to get over as a heel. So you can get over with promos. In fact, I maintain you get over better with promos than your wrestling work. Look at Dominic Mysterio. Like, he's good in the ring, but he's great on the mic. Honestly, I'd rather be a great talker than a great wrestler. Hopefully you're not wrong. You are not wrong. The fact is, if he's on TV every week, that's a great push to be getting. It's certainly better than Karrion Kross has been getting. Certainly better than Hit Row has been getting. Certainly better than Bray Wyatt's been getting. Joey, wrestling is reality TV. You're watching a wrestling show and they're full of promos, they're full of Bloodline. The Bloodline, which finished the show last week, they weren't wrestling. It was still the most viewed segment. You know what else was a really highly viewed segment? Lana, Rusev, Bobby Lashley. That whole thing. Massive viewership. Huge. Absolutely huge. It really did the numbers. Okay? Wrestling is reality TV. It's how kayfabe work. Right. The SmackDown before Money in the Bank, Asuka will face Charlotte Flair. Okay, so the week before that, we have our tag team unification match. So Alba Fyre and Isla Dawn essentially need to pick up some wins in between now and then to try and get over. Okay, so now next week, AJ Styles and Michin versus Karrion Kross and Scarlett. I mean, we at least know what's coming. And the Gauntlet match. Street Profits, Brawling Brutes, OC, LWO and Pretty Deadly. That's enough for a tag division for me. I'd probably put the championships on the Street Profits to start with, have them feud with Pretty Deadly, and go from there. Next week we have Roman Reigns returning. No Adam, no update on roster cuts. There's been plenty of people saying it's going to happen, but thus far has not happened. I've laid out exactly what is more likely there. I personally think the WWE are planning right now to raise the revenue. Part of raising that revenue is deals with Puerto Rico, deals with Australia, deals with India, deals with the UK, and a TV deal for NXT. Over's exciting. Over is exciting, but Over's excited for the Gauntlet match. And some Austin Theory too. Hello, Parrish. How the devil are you? Vacation was fantastic. I went to Paris. I was at the Louvre at the same time as Mercedes Money. Wasn't planned. Definitely wasn't planned. I was at the Eiffel Tower. I actually got to the top of the Eiffel Tower. I was there all of 2 minutes and I said to my partner, get me the fuck out of here. Because I'm not great with heights. But I did it. I was in that lift while it was shaking and bumping and I did it. I'm very, very proud of myself for it, I've got to be honest. They tried to make me go up the stairs. I wasn't going up the stairs. But yeah, Paris was lovely. Also said Charlotte in a title picture, glad something new is happening. Charlotte has immediately walked into SmackDown as a very top woman on the division. That's how it happens, unfortunately. Bailey says the Moment of Bliss was a great show. They never spilled any coffee. And Sean's excited to see Scarlett wrestling again. Sean wants Austin to lose the belt here. I don't see it. I see this being the definition of a dusty finish. Particularly when you consider that when you factor in the commercial break, this match is going to last all of 6 minutes. They've made it all dark, and it just seems pointless. I'm not wishing for anyone to be fired, guys. That's not who I am, and I really hope that's not what this community is. Ophir says, I really hate that they aren't doing much or anything really with Austin Theory. Yeah, he's not the story here. He's just someone being thrown into the Bloodline story to keep him in the public eye. Which will be effective. But this is why we have heel versus heel right now. Even though, I don't know, Jay's going to be wrestling face tonight. You just feel it by the reception he got at the beginning of the show. And I imagine everyone in that arena is going to be kind of hoping for Jey Uso to win this. Triple H is pretty synonymous with making sure that he has at least one championship match as often as possible on TV. Main eventing with the tag team championship, for example, is something that he did a lot in NXT. I'd imagine he's going to main event with the Gauntlet match next week because stakes. Main eventing here with the United States Championship, main eventing in 2 weeks with the Women's Tag Team Championship, main eventing the week after, I'm sure, with Asuka versus Charlotte. This is very much Triple H booking 101. Mark says, Wade Barrett calling Jimmy Prince Harry made me laugh way too much. Hits you right in the feels, doesn't it? I was watching Eurovision and there was the Princess of Wales. Wasn't ready for it. For anyone who doesn't know what Eurovision is, check it out. you're going to want to see Finland's entry. As a wrestling fan, it's just good shit. A very strong Uso chant there. Very clear that Jay's working face. Perry says Austin Theory is such a great mid-card champion. No need to take title off him. I may even turn him face down the road as champion. Personally, I think he's most at risk of losing his championship, but there is still plenty of time for that to not happen. Basically, everyone's having a championship-setting reign right now. Megan says Mike Rome looks so tall compared to the referee. It is one of the shorter refereeing options. Austin Theory also not that tall, by the by. Joey says, do you skip the Saudi football games too? If they're in Saudi Arabia, yeah, and I'm obviously not a Newcastle fan. Norway was amazing. Queen of Kings. Good stuff. Adam, you've asked several times now. You're constantly asking about what's he going to come back as? What's he going to come back as? I don't know. I've told you that. Over says, Tom, do you remember what the watch party was when I first followed the channel? Here's a hint. Mr. A-Town down 1 in the main event. Then it'll be a Money in the Bank one, won't it? Money in the Bank way back when. 2021, I'll say. That was a time. Nearly 2 years ago. Oh, you're a soldier, aren't you? You're a trooper. Sticking around for 2 years, that's an achievement. 2022 was... Oh no, you're right, it's 2022. It's not 2 years, just over 1 year. Still, trooper. So, we have had, or about to finish, our last commercial break, leaving us with just about 5 minutes of wrestling match. Again, I'm confident we're seeing Solo Sikoa again tonight, and I'm surprised that so far we haven't seen Jimmy. But come on, we can see a Jimmy. We can find ourselves a Jimmy. Peter says, where is Drew McIntyre? Peter, I uploaded a video detailing exactly where Drew McIntyre is on Tuesday. By all means, pop over to the YouTube side and check that video out. It is very clear on the video side about Drew McIntyre and his impending WWE return. Can't remember when Drew McIntyre does return, that to my knowledge I'm the only person reporting it. And it was funny because we got hit with trolls badly on Monday. Badly. Who seemed to think that I was saying Drew McIntyre's returning at Raw tonight, and at no point did I ever say anything close to that. But trolls got a troll. I invited them to come in here and talk to me about it. None of them did. They got me a lot more views just by trolling. That's how social media is built now. Drew McIntyre will be returning shortly, Peter. You're very prescriptive, and more often than not, what you say is simply not true. Ooh. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens versus Gunter and Ludwig. Cody Rhodes versus The Miz. It's not really a can't miss role with Cody Rhodes and The Miz, but Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn versus Imperium. Ain't no downside there. Sean says 155 more days until Austin reaches Moxley's US title reign. I just don't see it. Moxley's championship reign, the length of that was accidental. The crowd is hot for Jey Uso. I did mark. Dominic Mysterio can turn anything into a great match. The man is a generational talent and we all know it. So, Jey Uso as a singles wrestler wrestles completely differently to as a tag wrestler. And this is what I mean when I say that he's left Jimmy Uso behind. Jey Uso is the one. He the one. But he wrestles very differently when he's on his own. He wrestles like a main event wrestler. He knows what it takes and he knows how to do it. Personally, Sean, I don't think he does. Also, hi mate. Fancy seeing you here. Sean says, looks like Cody won't be in Money in the Bank this year. Yeah, be a shame, but I expect Brock's going to be keeping him out of it anyway. Maybe The Miz does pick up the win. Maybe by hook or by crook, the day doth cometh. Michael Cole talking about Roman being naked. Makes me think about Roman being naked. Austin Theory also trying to prove a point that he also belongs in the main event. We were reminded by Paul Heyman about a lot of things this week. The right-hand man concept. That was shelved a long time ago, but it was big for a while. Main event Uso. Shelved for a long time, but it was big for a while. Theory going for a finish, does not manage it. Lots of kicks to the face now. We're in the kick to the face phase. Oh, ref bump. Not a bad one. I didn't immediately see it coming, which is rare. Again, I'm suspecting a solo. Bailey says, 9 months from now, who do you see in the WrestleMania main events? Gunther, Cody, and Roman. We have ourselves a visible 3 count there. And here's Pretty Deadly. I forgot about Pretty Deadly. Jey Uso isolated now. Jimmy Uso has arrived. This is going to create an opportunity for Solo. But Jimmy is cleaning house. He's exposed himself. There be Solo. Another overbooked finish here, but the Bloodline have fully become the NWO now. They're every main event. Oh, Jimmy with a super kick on Jay, not intentional. Solo completely screws up his dive out the ring. But that will cost Jay the match. Theory's going to get the cover. And he does. Potentially a coup for Austin Theory there, but hook or by crook. Now that'll be used, of course, to tease tension between the Usos. Personally, I definitely think it's not going to be one of those moments, but Jey Uso might try to walk away again. Austin Theory needs to go away now. This is not his time. Focus needs to be on the Usos. Sean says, I don't think Austin has ever won clean during this reign. Chances are no. Ofer just goes, way. The happy man, that Ofer. Good spot for Pretty Deadly as well. Good rub to get. They've been getting the rub from the Bloodline tonight. Austin Theory obviously gets a bit of a rub. Solo is firmly established now, trying to get himself some revenge on Jimmy. But Jay's position is still the question. Complete separation. They should not have done a replay of that. Should not have done a replay of Solo being thrown out the ring. That was a bad moment for him. And he knows it. Austin Theory has indeed left ringside. Solo Sikoa has not. But Paul Heyman has joined him. This leaves the Usos in the ring. Let's tease some fake tension, shall we? And the point is, Jay's not supposed to know who to trust. But he's not exactly flinching away from Jimmy here. Megan says 7 for me, loses a point for being quick and for Solo's little mishap. Bit overbooked for me. It's not impossible right now that Jay does give an answer and super kick Jimmy. Instead, it looks like Jey Uso might just strike out on his own, which is probably the right call. Sometimes it is better to just walk away from a bad situation. Don't shake his hand. Ophir says if Theory doesn't become a quadruple champ by beating Melo, Roman and Rhea Ripley, I'll be very upset. Jey Uso is walking away. If I was him, I wouldn't be back for a while. That's where we should leave it, I suspect. They will do what they've been doing for weeks, in many ways months, in many ways years. And Jey Uso will continue to make no decision. The majority of the story for the Bloodline has been, what will Jey do? 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 And we're still there. It's one pretty big blight on an otherwise great storyline. Sean, I would suggest Street Profits are going to be the ones, yeah. And of course, we'll also see a Roman next week. Hyping up Jay's decision, as it were. I don't see Jimmy and Jay breaking up. That's just not on the cards. Even if it is, it's only very temporary. But that has been our SmackDown. Moderately good, not great. Very short women's matches, very short vast majority of matches. Okay work for the women's tag team section. Okay work between Asuka and Charlotte, if a bit pain by numbers. Bianca Belair was good this week. And Jey Uso was very good this week. I'd give it a 6.5. Maybe a 7. But I think I'd leave it there. And in fact, I am going to leave it there. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone for joining me. Everyone has hit like, everyone has subscribed, everyone has commented, everyone who's just here to hang out. As usual, I will say at this point, I've been Tom Colohue. You've been fantastic, and I will see you all very soon.